Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and I hope that all of you are keeping well, inshallah. So tell me, how many of you have been actually keeping after life has gotten back to normal? So let me start first. Not me. Getting used to the outside world and life has not let me had a cup of tea and chill in peace. I actually missed the lockdown now. Can you believe it? That's actually coming from me. So for me, it was actually smoother not having to run outside of home and, doing extra duties. Now it's like time and I are competing together, side by side, as in who's doing it faster. And so sometimes, I go blank. I get into these dark moods and, I think too fast to keep track of anything. And then it's like all my thoughts are gone. Have you ever felt that when sometimes, the world can be a very scary and a dangerous and a very dark place, every day is a struggle. You need to keep fighting to survive. Life is really hard. And, sometimes you can't really trust everybody outside. You can't really trust anyone, can you? And sometimes you feel worthless. Have you felt alienated and isolated, not fitting in a crowd? At some point in our lives, I'm sure that we've all said these lines and phrases to ourselves or have heard it from others. So don't be surprised. Mental health affects how we feel, think, and act. And it's important at every stage of life so that we can cope with stressful situations, work productively, and make meaningful contributions to our society and our community. However, if we see the statistics, they are really staggering. Over 45% of teens suffer from a mental disorder, and 1 in teens suffer from a severe mental illness. That's say about 20% of our teens population. Now, I would like to share a video with you all that explains what exactly mental health is all about before we get started.
Physical health. It is not only about mental illness or mental disorders. This is just one part of a bigger picture. It's best to think about mental health as being on a continuum, rather than people being either mentally ill or mentally well. We are all on the continuum, and we move up and down according to factors such as our genetic makeup and upbringing, our life circumstances, and the stresses we are under. At one end of the continuum, we have mental disorders, like depression or anxiety. And at the other end, we have states of positive mental health, when we're thriving, content, and fulfilled. The aim of mental health interventions is to move people up the continuum, so that they're able to reach their full potential and live satisfying lives. The World Health Organization describes mental health as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Being mentally healthy means being resilient and able to cope with difficult times, feeling in control, being confident, feeling good about yourself, managing and expressing your emotions, building and maintaining good relationships. We all experience periods when we feel stressed, worried, anxious, sad, afraid, or angry. These are all normal emotions. However, when these emotions become severe enough that it interferes with a person's ability to function daily, and these feelings become persistent over time, then it can develop into a mental health problem. There are many different types of mental disorders. When left untreated, mental disorders can be chronic and long-lasting, and are associated with increased disability. They significantly have an impact on daily functioning and frequently interfere with family, social, and work responsibilities. Fortunately, there are effective treatments and evidence-based interventions available that aim to help individuals understand and cope with symptoms of mental illness. However, very few people with mental disorders access existing treatment services. This may be due to barriers such as the stigma attached to seeking help, the lack of understanding of mental health problems, uncertainty of how to get help, or the fear of disclosing mental health problems. Research shows that stigma remains one of the biggest factors preventing people from seeking help early for their mental health problems and getting the appropriate support they need. It is important to acknowledge that we all have mental health and have a personal responsibility to learn how we can improve and maintain our well-being in order to lead meaningful and satisfying lives.
So, you see, we learned so much from this video right now. Sometimes it happens that you see people going into depression. I mean, they are depressed. Sometimes it's normal. For example, if you get like a normal depression, for example, when you lose a loved one, that's something normal. But then if it goes on for very long and it disrupts in your everyday life and your routine, then you need to seek for a professional care. So a person struggling with mental health should not be viewed any different than if someone were experiencing a physical illness. And mental illness is not a choice or a failure. You see, it does not discriminate because it can affect any time and it can affect anyone regardless of their age, their gender, their social status, ethnicity, or any other aspect of cultural identity. The concern with mental health isn't just about the statistics that we're seeing. It's also about well-being. Now, I'm sure you'd all be asking that what is well-being? So let's take a look at this video and you'll understand.
Your mental well-being is vitally important, and just like your physical health, it is crucial that you keep it healthy. But it can be difficult because our mind creates negative habits, patterns, and cycles that we get caught in. But the good news is, your mind is just like a puppy. You can train it. So here are 5 things that can help maintain a healthy mind. Magic. Be mindful. You might not realise it, but you are very rarely here. Physically, yes, but your mind is forever wandering. You're either worrying about the past or anxious about the future. Being mindful is a great tool in becoming aware of your thoughts and feelings at any given moment. You can practice this wherever you are. Find a quiet spot and take in everything. Birds, trees, flowers, rain, clouds. Take it in, breathe, and be present. Be active. It's sometimes easy to stay hidden in your room, but you can end up falling into a dark hole that's difficult to climb out of. But getting up, getting out, and exercising will really help to lift your mood. You don't have to run 10k, well, not just yet, but it could be a cycle to the shops or the downward dog to repetitive electronic beats for 20 minutes. Clever scientists tell us that when we exercise, we release happy chemicals in our brain. Be generous. It's a really simple formula. Being generous equals feeling good. It can be as simple as helping to put out the washing by volunteering in the community, or maybe ringing a friend and asking them, "Hey girl, how you doing?" Kindness is key. Be interested. Being interested can really help to get your mind focused on something other than your troubles. You could learn a new skill, like learning to bake. You might be bad at first, but stick with it until you obtain MasterChef status. Be connected. Being alone will not help. Being alone with our thoughts can sometimes be scary, so it's best to be around people when you can. Being connected helps us to stay positive. Join your family for dinner, reply to that text that you've ignored for a week, or go and visit a friend in person. So there it is, magic. Mindful, active, generous, interested, connected. Just doing some of these will really help you to maintain a healthy and positive outlook on life. Try it.
Yeah, so those were the 5 magic key points that we can use to keep up with our well-being. I think well-being is so important nowadays. Sometimes you don't understand that, you're getting, trapped in this certain bubble of yours, and, you want to come out of it. You want to snap out of it. And so what do you do? So let me make it more simple for you. Let me simplify these, as in I'll be giving you examples on how we can work out on each of these. So the first one was, just to stay connected. Yeah, so connect with people. For example, talk to someone every day. You should go out. You should visit people. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your colleagues, talk to your family members. Our mental health is so important, and by looking after it, we can feel much more happier, more positive, and we are better equipped to get the most out of life. You see, research has actually proven, and it shows, with regards to what we've seen in this video as well, that it's really important for us to, stay connected, stay mindful, stay active. And so, what you can do is like spend meaningful time with your family and your friends each day. Just, meet people. And instead of emailing, okay, I know that doesn't exist anymore. I don't know whoever uses emails to communicate with their colleagues and stuff. It's kind of outdated right now. But then even let's talk about texting, for example. If you're texting a friend, it's better if you like talk to them face to face, like have a cup of coffee together, go out at a gathering, plan out like a meeting or something, and without any like duty or task, that's in your mind. So just, plan out like a picnic or even a bonfire night and, enjoy and talk about life and how your weekend was. And, listen to them, and when they listen to you, it makes a lot of difference. You learn a lot of things from them. The second point is to be active. So regular physical activity is associated with lower rates of depression and anxiety across all age groups. Exercise is very essential for slowing age-related cognitive decline and for promoting well-being. But it doesn't need to be particularly intense for you to feel good. Slower paced activities such as walking can also have great benefits of encouraging social interactions as well as providing some level of exercise. So today, why not get physical? Here are a few ideas for you to take a look at.
Mark Twain once said, accomplishment. A morning ritual can be any physically stimulating activity, a trail run, a bike ride, yoga, or even as basic as a dog walk around the block. There's no gym membership needed, and there's absolutely no excuse not to. So next time you wake up, don't start your day by checking your email or drinking coffee. Get up and immediately start moving. You will find that this is the first step in improving your life in every single area.
So there were some really nice tips that were mentioned in this video. So let me just give you another more tips. Yeah. So sometimes you can just take the stairs and not the lift. Sometimes you can go for a walk lunchtime. Sometimes you can just walk into work. Perhaps meet up with a colleague or go to mosque, meet up with a friend. So you can connect as well. Get off the bus one stop earlier than usual and walk the final part of your journey to work or home. Organize a work sporting activity, have a kickabout in a local park, with your children even. And do some easy exercise like stretching before you leave for work in the morning. Walk to someone's desk instead of calling them, or emailing them or messaging them, or whatever modes that you're using. Now let's take a look at another one, and that is called take notice. So this is something very important. Reminding yourself to take notice can strengthen and broaden awareness. There are sometimes people who are so lost and absent-minded in their own world that they wouldn't even realize if someone came and picked up like a cup or their pen or their keys, that was right in front of them. And so this is a sign, this is a symptom that, they're so lost in their own world, they're not even aware of their surroundings, which is not good. Studies have shown that being aware of what is taking place in the present directly enhances your well-being, and savoring the moment can help to reaffirm your life priorities. Heightened awareness also enhances your self-understanding and allows you to make positive choices based on your own values and motivation. So take some time to, enjoy the moment and the environment around you. So here are a few ideas. For example, this is a very important one. Have a clear the clutter day. Clear the clutter day means that if your mind is filled up with a lot of thoughts that I have so much going on. This is, how can I scheduleize myself and prioritize myself and also give myself some time that I can enjoy. That's very important. We all need that personal me time at times, and that's not something which is selfish. Absolutely not. You need that to rejuvenate your energy. So do that. Take notice of how your colleagues are feeling or acting, how your family members are feeling at home. Check up on them all the time. Perhaps, your mother is not feeling well. Obviously, she won't tell you that, but you can see in her energy levels that she's probably low, or that probably your dad is, being very fatigued around, and he has a lot of tension at work. Or you'll probably notice your brother or your sister becoming very moody and cringy and cranky. So it's always good to just go and check up on them. That shows that you're aware about their feelings and emotions. Then take a different route on your journey to or from work. So sometimes it's really good. For example, as a university student, instead of heading back home, sometimes on some days, you can plan like an outing with your friends. For example, you can hit the restaurant that's just down by the road, or you can hit the mall, and you can just spend like a couple of minutes, like half an hour, 1 hour with your friends, have a nice meal, and then get back home. That really opens up and refreshes your mind. I used to do that also sometimes, and we really had great memories. Then sometimes you can even visit a new place for lunch. I think children usually get more excited for this bit. It's like, when you tell them one day that, okay, we're going out to this new restaurant that's opened up down the road, and, they serve pizza and burgers. So it's going to be nice. So it's like they get excited, their mood becomes really nice, and even you as a parent feel really good. And, as a family get together, you really enjoy those moment bits, don't we? So these are a few tips that you can take lessons from. Then we have another one, and it's called keep learning. So always keep yourself in fields where you are always exploited to learning things. For example, even be it reading a new book, learning something about the technologies, learning something about science, some new invention. If this is too boring for you, then you can also just check the tab and open up the tab and see what are there. Yeah, so sometimes there are these nice games that you want to play. So if there are like really nice educational games, like puzzle games, or hide and seek games, or whatever games, I don't know, but like there's so many nice games that really what do you say, improve the memory of your mind as well. So you can play those games online. Continued learning through life enhances self-esteem and encourages social interaction and a more active life. So, according to research, anecdotal evidence suggests that the opportunity to engage in work or educational activities particularly helps to lift older people out of depression. So, even at home as a family, if you play Scrabble, that's an amazing game. And, I think adults absolutely love it. Even Monopoly is a nice game. So sometimes, just to get together and, we can have a nice time with these games. And even sport activities, you can literally play with your kids any game that you want at home. It's not a must that you have to go to a sports ground and, get those sport tools. For example, you don't need like a racket or a tennis ball to play games. Even at home, you can just have these really nice imaginary games. For example, you can have a laundry basket, and probably if you have like even a small ball at home, or anything that you want to throw about, and you can play that with your children. Or you can ask them how to form a banana, and with actions. So you see, there are a lot of things that you can do without having to depend on certain things. The practice of setting goals, which is related to adult learning in particular, has been strongly associated with higher levels of well-being. So let's learn something new today. And here are a few more ideas that can help you to learn better. For example, why don't you sign up for a class? I'm sure that there are a lot of classes, that are introduced in our community and our society. It could be language classes, it could be cooking classes, it could be stitching classes, it could be art classes. All these classes are really good. I mean, if you can sign up for it and spend like an hour every day, or even like thrice a week or twice a week, it's really good. And the result is really good, because at the end of the year, when you look back, you actually realize that, oh, thank God I took that time out to learn this tool and that tool, and today I can manage. So it really works and helps out a lot. Then read the news or a book. So of course, right now we've got everything on our phones. You just open up and you've got news on all the feeds basically. But it's always better to go to the original resources, right? So you can check out the news that way. You can watch on the television, or you can read books. I know most people right now do not read books as much as they used to. We've got like Kindle on our tabs right now. We've got other apps and other platforms. But still, as long as one's mind is involved, like they're engaged in reading, and you learn new vocabulary every day. So that is something which is very good. Then you can research something that you always wondered about. So I'm sure that everybody has that inner passion sometimes that you want to, research about. For example, it could be a recipe. You want to probably Google it up, or go on YouTube, or see someone's blog that you've seen or heard of. And then sometimes you probably want to do some research on something which is related to science, or something which is related to language. For example, these cartoons that we see, yeah. So even they have a backstory, and sometimes the vocabulary that is used in those cartoons, how is it connected, and how does that message appeal the audience? How do you attract the audience through the use of certain words? The lexis, the terminology that's been used, even that's a study. So there are so many areas that one can research into. Then you can also learn a new word. Of course, that comes into language. And you can also play crossword at home with your children. So if you get magazines and stuff like that, then at the back or in the middle somewhere, there are always these quiz games and crosswords. So sit and play with your children. Believe me, you learn so much from your children. Sometimes it's because as we grow older, sometimes we tend to forget. Remember how we were so smart when we were kids, right? So sometimes we see that in our kids, like they notice every single thing. They're so observant, and they teach you things, and that's so fascinating sometimes. So sit with your children and spend time with them. You get to learn so much. Then the next key point that we're moving on to is called give, which was connected to generous, if you remember in the magic words. Now, being generous does not come naturally. Okay, I can say that not everybody is generous. Some people are really selfish. But here we're talking about participation in our communities. So participation in social and community life, attracts a lot of attention in the field of well-being research. Individuals who report a greater interest in helping others are more likely to rate themselves as happy. And research into actions for promoting happiness has shown that committing an act of kindness even once a week over a 6 week period is associated with an increase in well-being. Sometimes have you noticed if like you go down your home and probably you're walking on the street and there's a beggar and you give them you help them out, you give them sadaqah or whatever, don't you feel that happiness within you and that smile on their faces? And then sometimes when when you visit these orphanages and help out the orphans, even if you provide them with a meal or a bottle of water, they become so happy. So that is what is true happiness. And the one who really does that feels it, you see? So generosity comes in a lot of forms. Sometimes it is also in the form of, helping people out. For example, probably they want to learn something from you or they come to you seeking some advice. And when you're doing that, you're actually really helping them out because you're making a change in their lives. And if you can even make a difference in one person's life, if they see you as an inspiration and if they're getting that help out of you, that's really a big deal. Now, I want to talk about the downside of all these points that I mentioned. So, of course, I mentioned about all the positive parts, right? About connecting, being active, being very interested, being, giving, being generous, and all of that, keeping to, learning new things on a daily basis, right? Now, what I want to tell you all is that when we are connecting with people, right? Sometimes it happens that, of course, we live in a world where all types of people live. So there are some times, where you probably get misused, So make sure that good relationships are important for your mental well-being, meaning that you connect with those people who want the best for you, who motivate you to do better in your everyday lives. For example, if you feel some sort of toxicity from this person, some negative vibe, then obviously you have to distance yourself from them. So good relationships are very important. So when I said that connect, do not just connect with any, buddy from the street or from anybody whom you don't know. Obviously, you need to check into who you're connecting with. Sometimes online, there's a lot of, what do you call this, cyber issues these days, right? Online, like, when there are so many people who send you like friend requests, for example, on Facebook and on Instagram, and you don't know who these people are. So don't just get too excited and confirm the friend request. You have to make sure who this person is. Sometimes they can be hackers and slackers and all of these people. So be careful when you do that. Then the second point was about being active. So I'm sure that when we saw in the video as well, they did mention about sometimes the drugs like morphine and nicotine, they give you that same feeling of happiness and stuff like that. So don't overdo it. Everything has to be in a balanced form. For example, even if you exercise on a daily basis, I know some people who would exercise for say like 2 days, and they would be like running around, jogging. They would be doing the push-ups and the planks and everything all together. Don't kill yourself in a day. You have to balance it out. Take it step by step. In fact, you need to start slow. If you're like a beginner, start with, the first day, maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And then, you hit to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then half an hour, and then 1 hour. So give it pace and time and patience. I know it happens, if even one starts dieting, for example, I'm not going to eat the whole day today. I'm just going to have water and dates and, this brown bread and stuff like that and vegetables. And then you'll see yourself after 2 to 3 days, you're binge eating, you're ordering your pizza, you're ordering burger, you're ordering sandwiches and everything is spoiled. The whole diet is gone down the drain. So you see, don't do that. It requires a lot of patience. So that was one. Then when I said about learning new skills, yes, do learn new skills. But then sometimes, don't pressurize your mind also so much to it. I know that as students, you have that, that courage and that, motivation. You have that thing in you that I want to study this, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, I want to do this and that. That's very good. And at that time, you have the energy. But sometimes don't pressurize yourself too much. Even studying too much and not taking breaks at intervals is not good, because your brain actually gets tired. You don't realize that, but then later on, your body gives you signs. Your mind gives you those signs. So make sure that you take it slow. Then, when it comes to being generous, give it to others, right? So, yes, I did mention that you have to be very generous in life, but then you also have to see who you're giving it to, and how generous are you being. Like, there should be a limit, because then there are some people who would actually take advantage of you as well, and we see a lot of examples in the society as well. So do give, but then also use your brain, be wise, and see that am I being used too much, or what, and which areas am I actually serving. Yeah, so that's very important. And of course, pay attention to the present moment. Mindfulness. Always pay attention to everything that's happening around you, but don't even get too much involved that you're noticing every single bit that's going on around you. For example, I know people who have OCD issues, right? So for example, if you move like a phone or a pen out of the position, the original position that they had placed in, that they get so upset and mad, and they get these anxiety issues, right? So do you think that's good? So no, it's not. And obviously, OCD people are, I mean, they're a different category. I'm not saying that they have an issue or something like that. I'm also someone like that, actually. Okay. So I'm just saying that, one shouldn't be like a perfectionist, that I want this to be, in its place, and, like perfection, and everything should be like, in order. And, things always get haphazard in life. You will not have everything as you want and in sequence. And, sometimes it happens that thing causes like, you can say, a disharmony in your mind. Like, you feel like, oh, things have moved out of their places, and things are not moving according to their time and pace and the way I want it. So now everything is just a mess, and I can't go on beyond this. It happens, and that really triggers anxiety. So don't do that. Okay. So I was showing you the other downside of the points that I mentioned. At the end of the day, keep a good balance. That's the point. Always keep a good balance, And now I want to touch on all of these points from an Islamic point of view. So I'm sure you must have seen lately there's been this post, which is very interesting, and it's been viral on all the pages. It's by our highly respected Islamic scholar, Sayyid Ali Raza Panahian, and I'm sure that everybody, loves his lectures and his posts. So, he mentions about people are different. Yeah, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So, one of the most important facts in human life is the differences between human beings. People are different spiritually, and in their expectations, feelings, mental powers, and characters. We must acknowledge the differences, because these differences are a part of the design of the Lord of the universe. And religion has given important advice about these differences. Now, let me ask you this. How many times in your life have you been bullied, underestimated, unappreciated, underrated, unacknowledged, misused, disrespected, and the list goes on? So, can we look at some of the reasons why all this actually happens? Could be different ethnicity background, social status, being colored, meaning racism, obviously, if you're too dark complexion, too fair, too short, too tall, too fat, too skinny, whatsoever. Less educated or not at all. Not trendy enough, meaning old fashioned. You're not coping with everybody, and all of that. Sometimes it's even if you're too religious, and sometimes it's if you're too open and too modern. And all these, reasons, all these factors, they come to a point that in some phase in your life, you go through these things that I mentioned to you about. And I'm sure everybody, even the biggest of the biggest people, I'm sure they go through certain phases in their lives that really changes them, and they become a different person. I guess that's just how life is. It changes you to become a better person, because you learn you mold yourself, and you become a better person for everybody else. Like you become like a lesson for everybody else, and you want to help others to not go through the things that you went through, right? So in a way, that's very good. Now, there is a hadith by our sixth Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam, and he said that if people knew how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created human beings and with what differences, they would not blame anyone. And this is mentioned in Al-Kafi. And this is a very important point, because it is said in the traditions that even a sinner should not be blamed. We may see some rebukes given in terms of giving advice in a public speech, even by Imam Ali alayhi salam, or by the commanders of the faithful, or in the words of all our imams. But we should not blame one person specifically. In general, we can say that no one should lie. But if we see a liar, we cannot easily judge him. People are different in their spiritual, genetic, cultural, and intellectual makeup. They're also different in their capacity for faith. And it is said in a tradition that people have different capacities for faith as well. Some only have the capacity for one measure of faith, some two, some three, and some up to 10 measures. Then the tradition continues on to say that a person who has two measures of faith should not impose his faith on a person who has only one measure of faith. If you do this, you will push him out of religion. This is because you imposed more than his capacity on him. The tradition also explains that if you push him out of religion due to imposing your own religion on him, you are responsible for returning him to religion. So one of the reasons that some people escape from religion is that some things have been imposed on them that they did not have the capacity for. And then, they become upset. So they show animosity toward religion and religiosity. This fact should be taken into consideration in religious teachings. People should know that if religious people see a wrong behavior from someone, or even if a certain person has a weak faith, they will not judge him negatively. Because people are different at the end of the day. You can't let everyone be the way you want to be. You can't let everybody be perfect the way you want everybody to be. So imagine, this is a lesson that we're taking from all of this that I mentioned, and I told you all that this is mentioned by our scholar. So this is a very important lesson that we can take. And there was this story that I was going through just this morning. It was the story of this donkey that there was this man, a farmer, okay, and he had his donkey, okay. So what happened was that unfortunately the donkey fell into this well, and he couldn't get out of it, obviously. And so the farmer tried really hard, but he couldn't do anything about it. And then he was like, okay, I don't need this donkey as it is anymore. He's too old for me. And as it is, the well needs to be covered up. So let him just be in. And then he asked all the other people to come and help him to put sand on this donkey and the well, yeah, to cover it up. So obviously the animal cried piteously for many hours, and nobody was helping him. And then when they started, shoving the sand into the well, all of them started noticing something, and that was that as they shoved the sand into the well, the donkey, gave it space, and as the sand piled up, the donkey started climbing on top of it, and finally it made its way out of the well. So you see, there is a lesson in this that we can learn, yeah? People will come in your life, will tell you a lot of things. You'll be, you can say underestimated, underappreciated for whatever reasons, yeah? It happens, okay? It happens with everybody. And this is just like a motivation or a boost for those people who have been through it or who go through it. That, you should just shake the sand off like this donkey did, yeah? And just move on, just move on. Just step out of it and make your way out. And, you'll be successful. So that was a lesson in it, yeah? There's a lesson in this story for all of us. So that's one story. Of course, there are so many other stories that we can learn, take some moral lessons from. But I thought that I wanted to share this with all of you so that you can take some inspiration. So here are key tips one more time. And that is that if we want to, keep up with our well-being, we need to be mentally very strong. I know that people do not understand sometimes that what is actually mental strength. Like, how can one mentally be strong? You have to really combat those negative thoughts that are in your head sometimes. You really need to just put them aside. And sometimes, what you can do is look at your past. Go back and see, okay, how was I once upon a time? And have I made any changes or improvements in my life? If yes, if I have accomplished a lot of things, could be like in the past 4 years, or even in the last 10 years, then you've made a great change within yourself. You've transformed and you should be happy. And that shows that your mental strength was really strong and it pushed you all the way. So that is mental strength. And sometimes just being physically strong is not enough. It has to be both ways. A person who is, for example, physically strong but mentally weak cannot win a battle or any game in life. Someone who's just mentally strong and physically not strong enough can also not win the challenges of life, not overcome those hurdles and obstacles in their lives. So it's a combination of the two, and it's a balance. So you also need to be very healthy in terms of eating. So your nutrition should be very good. You should eat healthy on a daily basis, and it's all connected at the end of the day. Being active, staying active, working out. Going for sports. Doing the morning exercise as we showed in the video earlier. So all these things contribute. Connecting with people, which is very important. When you make connections with people, it really helps you a lot because it opens up your mind, and you learn so much from people. It's something natural. Everybody has their own system, has their own way, and you get to pick points from here and there, and put it in your life and improvise your life, and that's how you then become a pro at everything that you do. So these were a couple of points that I wanted to share on today's episode. The major highlight was that we need to keep up we need to have a balanced way of life, and we need to take care of our mental health, which is very important. For example, right now, everybody's gone back to their normal lives, and I can see the world is already changing and everybody has forgotten what even happened in the last 2 years. So we need to really take care of ourselves because things are going at a very high speed. Everything's happening really fast, and sometimes you don't even have the time for yourself. You don't even have the time to think about a certain moment. It just passes away, slips like that, within a second. That's how life is right now. So we do need to keep up with that, but then also we need to pace it down a little at times. Sometimes you need to take some time out for yourself at home even. For example, even if you get tired, you can't do the household chores, or maybe you need a break from your child or from your children or from your partner, you can say that. You can say that I need 30 minutes off. I just need some time alone in my room. I want to just, have a break. I want to meditate. I want to just have a self-reflection for myself. And that is very normal. That's very good. In fact, it's nothing like it's selfish. So don't think that, you're being selfish in any way. And towards the end of the episode, I would like to pass this message on that in order to keep up with your well-being, follow these 5 tips that we showed you in the video, which are the magic words, right? Being mindful, being active, being generous, being interested, and giving, being generous. So if you can follow all these 5 tips, then I think life would be very good and easy, inshallah. Thank you for joining on today's program, and I hope that you were able to benefit a few key points from the things that I mentioned. And yes, we'll be having another episodes, inshallah, next week. Thank you. This is your host, Sakina Habib. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.